Today I'm going to do a video on how to save some money with your aquariums, and this is what I do. If you noticed all these tanks, this is the basement fish room. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks in it, is it? 2, 4, yeah, 6 tanks. Not one of them has a heater, if you ever noticed. But the 2 tanks that I have upstairs with the wolffish and Big Moby have heaters in because I can't heat the room up. And here's what I do. This room has its own thermostat because it has baseboard gas heat. So I heat the room up to 72 degrees. And that'll actually get the tanks to about 77, 78 all winter long. You'd be surprised, all your little power heads hang on the back, filters, canisters will heat the tank up that extra 3, 4, 5 degrees depending on what you got in it. So it actually stays pretty good, the temperature, so I don't have to use any heaters anymore, because if you add them all up, I think this tank had a 300 watt one in, this one had a 250, that one had a 200, that one another 150, that one a 200. And you keep adding them up, and believe me, it's over 1,000 watts, and the electric bill was nuts. So that's one way I save money. And also, if we look behind here, for water changes, I was spending probably, I'm going to guess quarterly, like $400 every quarter on water. And I was like, that's way too much, so I started to build filters. This is a nitrate filter. You can see I have the media in there. And I grew pothos plants, and this thing took off. It's like, I don't know, maybe 7 feet long. If you look, I have the regular LED lights here next to this big LED 4-foot light. They come on a timer for 4 hours a day, and right before they shut off, this other light comes on the main tank, so it lights it up for like 8.5 hours, but it's all run by timers. And this is that sea chem, the Purigen stuff in there. Works really good. It lowers the nitrates. And how it works, I have a small 50-gallon-hour pump with a little hose that comes up over the top. You can see it's covered with tin foil. There's a hole drilled in the top lid plastic, and it just pours it in there at 50 gallons an hour. Then if you look on the back, I don't know if you could see it. It's hard to see. There's an overflow. Let me move this cardboard thing. Maybe you can see better. Yeah. There's an overflow that I put through the box, and it just overflows the water back into the tank. So like I said, it's only 50 gallons an hour. You want that to flow slow, and that lowers the nitrates considerably. Where I was doing like a 75% water change, I cut back to 50% once a week on this tank, and it works out really good, and it saves because you don't have to use a lot of water. And also, I've been using 3 major food brands. The Cobalt, which is real good. Northfin, which is supposed to be really good. And Omega 1. I know you guys know I always use that one. Well, I did a test like a month feeding each food. And I can tell you this. Cobalt works pretty good. There's not a lot of waste. The nitrates stay low, but it's very expensive. Northfin was very messy. The nitrates went up. It was probably the worst food I used. In Omega 1, there's hardly any like waste in the tank. Like I just did a water change, what was it, Tuesday on this tank? I do it every Tuesday. I didn't even have to vacuum the bottom. It was so clean with the Omega 1. And when I was using Northfin, I was sitting there forever trying to clean it up. It was ridiculous. And the nitrates with Omega 1 stay like 20 parts per million rather. And with the Northfin, it was like 60 to 80 parts per million. So it's definitely not as good, and I found that out the hard way, but I'm learning by switching the things up and trying different products. So for the money, Omega 1 for me was the best. But I really did like the Cobalt one, but like I said, it's a lot more expensive, and the whole goal here is to try to spend as least money as you could. We can get the best product. So for me, Omega 1's the best. Also, on all the tanks, this is only a 20 gallon. My little Carpentis in the back. It has a regular, LED light bulb on the top. It's just a hospital tank, so I really don't bother. But if you look at all my tanks, like this one, I like the waveform 4-foot LED 65K. It's 95 CRI. It's very accurate. I was using all fluorescent lights, and it was using double the electric. I believe these only use 17 watts, whereas the other ones I was using were like 34 and 40 watts, and these look way better. I have them on all my tanks. It's even on the Piranha tank. Let me see, I don't want to spook them. Yeah, there's one on there too. They only make a 4-foot bulb, so I kind of have a 3-foot tank. See, I had to cut the edge out and let it extend the foot out, but it's out in the way of this tank, but I don't mind because the light's so much better than anything you could buy. And this one has the stock one that comes with a little strip one on the top. And I have another 4-foot one on here, another 4-foot one on Moby's tank, and on the Wolffish's tank. And it saves you so much money. Everyone uses the liquid dechlorinator. I use this from Seachem. It's safe. It does way more gallons. I think like a little quarter teaspoon. Hold on, let me look. I forgot. Quarter teaspoon does 300 gallons. This ain't even focusing, huh? Oh well, too close to it. But a quarter teaspoon does 300 gallons, and it's much more concentrated than the liquid stuff. So I've been using that, and that saves you a lot of money too. Also, I was using the pond stuff. This is much better than the stuff you could get for your tank, but it's nowhere near does as many gallons as like the safe does. So that's one way to save money. But, oh, one other thing. The canister filters, I have one of those electric meters that measures how much electric all the pumps and stuff use. Little by little, I'm going to get rid of these canisters, and I'll tell you why. This one, I believe, uses like 30-something watts, and it's 500 gallons an hour. So is the big Aqua Clear, the 110s, 500 gallons an hour. It only uses 13 watts. So, you gotta figure you could use almost 3 of those hang on the back filters would be 1,500 gallons an hour as compared to 500 for the same electric. So little by little I'm going to start putting all hang on the backs. I did it on that tank too. These two have hang on the backs. Moby's does. And I think the Wolffish does. The only canisters I have are that Rena on this tank, and the Goldfish have this big, I think it's the 304B. But once they go, I'm going to hang on the backs. They're much more efficient. So that's one other way to save money. But I just wanted to share all this with you guys, because I know how expensive the hobby is, and maybe this could help some of you guys out. But that's just what we do here, is try to save as much as we can. But that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate everybody watching.